Okay, we're on the northbound platform of the City Hall station of the R&W train. And there's a northbound R, southbound R, headed to Brooklyn. For those of you who are expecting the City Hall station with chandeliers and Gustavino tile and vaulted ceilings, this isn't it. This is a regular 1915 era BMT station.
Look at the little design mosaic, I guess, right there.
Yeah, what is that? What is that depicting?
That is the top of City Hall itself, Manhattan City Hall, and that little cupola or whatever was replicated on top of Brooklyn City Hall after they created the 5 boroughs in 1898. They put that on top of Brooklyn City Hall when they turned it into Brooklyn Borough Hall so that it reflected the design of Manhattan City Hall, and they were directly linked by a horse-drawn trolley that was going over the Brooklyn Bridge that connected the mayor to the mayor.
Mayor to mayor.
Which later became mayor to borough president.
Surfacing at Murray Street, or as many locals might say, Murray. And because the names on subway stations never lie, this is indeed City Hall.
Should we go through
City Hall, the Municipal Building, the Tweed Courthouse.
Should we go through City Hall Park?
No, I think, no, we can't do that. Well, no, you should go to your,
Yeah.
and we'll park.
Okay. Want to see what temperature? 37 degrees? It feels like it's 60.
We're walking north on Broadway. With City Hall on our right, and coming up also on our right behind the iron fence is the Tweed Courthouse. Municipal building project that went slightly over budget.
Yep. A little bit. Oh, we can look at the map here.
Yeah, these are a recent addition to city sidewalks.
Nice.
I'm not sure what they're using as the base map, but it may be the city's own base map. I'm not sure. But these are very helpful, I think, and
Yeah.
most of them give you both the close-up and more distant view, and tell you where you can end up in a 5-minute and 15-minute radius.
Yeah, the yellow circle. So it's kind of like a walking radius and a biking radius.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they show city bike stations.
Oh, that's good too.
And they show nearby subway and bus lines.
Should we give another guide directions like we did last time with the IRS building?
What do we think that they're looking for?
I think they handled it. That's good.
With a piece of paper.
I like this old clock on the side of the Sun
All right,
building.
this is the New York Sun building. The Sun was a daily newspaper, right?
And I believe it was one of the early tabloids who went by the motto, "Dog bites man, who cares? Man bites dog, that's news." Yeah.
And there's the clock. Shall we cross?
Yeah, let's cross here.
first precinct. Can't do better than first. And those were buildings inspectors that crossed in front of us.
Get your buildings in order, people. Oh, look, B&H jewelry over there.
Actually, if I had thought about it, part of just north of here on Broadway is the buildings department headquarters, and it used to be on a weekday you would see a line of expediters lined up to get their appointment with plan examiners.
So what is the expediter? And they just is it
Contractors hire expediters to go wait in line and deal with the buildings department plan examiners so that the contractors themselves don't have to do that.
We got all around here NYC buildings, cars, and you can see that car has a US license plate on it too, back there.
Oh yeah. So yeah, these are the cars that building inspectors would use.
Church Street.
Have you ever shopped at Lotless?
Yeah.
That place is.
Therese used to go there. Go there every day after work.
That place is. That place has been there a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember being able to get good deals on Lindt chocolate bars there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the pizza place across the street. Well, since, as Carl Stalling says, smell-o-vision doesn't work, so there's no way you can smell it from here. But you can smell the pizza when you walk by. It's not necessarily a good smell, I have to say.
When I walked by, I think it was 35th and 9th Avenue. It was a very fragrant pizza place that I wish I could have gotten the smell-o-vision effect. But alas, you can add little wavy smell lines in post. There's a lot of government plate cars on this block.
Yeah, I guess I should have said earlier that we're walking west on Chambers Street.
License buildings. I think if you look at the street signs over here too,
Yeah,
they
and that,
should. This one doesn't say, but most of them say like Department of Buildings vehicles only, or official use only, or something like that. Or they might even say AWM in some cases, which maybe we'll save for another walk.
yes.
The secret of AWM.
Yeah, but if any of you happen to be walking in this part of Lower Manhattan and lower part of Broadway or Lafayette Street, look for the no parking except plates with AWM on it.
And then
And,
really
and
don't
try
park
and
there.
yeah, don't spend too long there.
Yeah. Don't look at the car too much. Don't park there.
Is this where we park?
Yes, I'm at the
Whoa.
Red Hotel here. So yeah, you guys enjoy. See you
Bye,
later.
Dave. Oops. No names. Shall we go to, you want to go to the Oculus? Yeah. We're walking south now on West Broadway, and I like in the last year on these digital signs at subway entrances, they show when the next few trains are. So they've moved the platform countdown clock in effect to street level. World Trade Center directly in front of it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if these structures are unique to New York. I haven't seen them anywhere else. Where it looks like the cars are parked in a way that's impossible to retrieve them.
Say you need a parking space for an entire day and then you change your mind in the middle of the day, it's too bad.
It may be.
Yeah,
There are garages that say, your assigned pickup time is X. And here, if you need to retrieve a car on one of the upper decks, they have to move all the cars below it first. So it's a lot of maneuvering in a small space. But it is Speedy Park. And we know that signs painted on the sides of buildings never lie. So we're at the corner of, whoops, we're going to let traffic cross. We're at the corner of West Broadway and Murray, and yet the building in front of us is labeled 255 Greenwich. Greenwich is one block west of here. This whole building, which takes up this entire block, used to be called 75 Park Place, and about 10 years ago, for reasons unknown, the building owner thought the building would have more cachet if it had a different street address. Coming up on our right, we'll soon be able to see the Oculus from the outside. The Oculus, which was one of the later structures completed in the rebuilding of the World Trade Center. I don't want to compare it to the Tweed Courthouse, but this was also a large public work that exceeded its initial budget by a lot. It ended up costing, I think, $4 billion. And I actually said the wrong thing a minute ago when I said it was coming up on our right, because I'm used to approaching the Oculus from Church Street, which is one block east. So the Oculus is beginning to come into view on our left. So you can see by these, I actually forgot what they're called, that prevent vehicles from entering this area. But now we're going to find the nearest entrance to the Oculus. And I just want to get the building across the street, which I think is a 1930s era post office. I'll have to check on that later. And you can see the Oculus peeking up above the construction fence. Alright, and we're going through and we are going to be entering the Oculus shortly. No, we went to Hudson Yards, I think. Maybe we came here too. Yeah. Restrooms. Oh, here, down here. For anyone who's interested, the restrooms here are plentiful and well maintained. Continuing our walk after a brief rest stop, we're about to enter the main, I don't even know what you call it, atrium of the Oculus. And let's just take a look. Oh, well, you can't have an Oculus without an Apple Store, I guess. And let's see what $4 billion bought. For a lot of the first year that this structure was open to the public, there was no retail here. And so is this pristine white structure. Now it's a $4 billion white structure with mall stores in it, high-end mall stores. I do like this entrance to the number 1 train. This was the last World Trade Center area station to reopen. By the way, it's about 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. So I imagine some of these stores are just opening for the day. And if we were to go to the right, we could eventually end up in Italy, Lower Manhattan. But we're not going to do that today. Okay, one last look at the Oculus before we leave. But if you continue in the direction the camera's looking, you get the PATH train to New Jersey, to Hoboken, and to Newark for $2.75, the same fare as the city center. And this is the southbound R&W to downtown in Brooklyn. And as we leave the Oculus, I said before that it was filled with high-end retailers. So you should definitely check it out. And you can just search on Oculus or Westfield Properties, and you'll be able to get a complete listing. I think we should walk past the church and graveyard. And Century 21 is a landmark for people looking for discounts. This store has been in this location, I think, since the beginning of the chain. They expanded into other locations throughout the city. But then they had to contract due to financial difficulties. I don't remember the details. The Millennium Hotel, which has an unusual spelling of the word millennium in its name. And we're coming upon St. Paul's Chapel and Cemetery, so we'll cross and we'll cross. So this is north on Church Street. Church Street becomes eventually 6th Avenue. As some of the signs might say, 6th Avenue is also called Avenue of the Americas, but it's not called Avenue of the Americas by anyone who actually lives here. So I think this is part of Trinity Church. That's what the banner seemed to say. Trinity Church being further south on Broadway. Here's the cemetery for St. Paul's Chapel. have lunchtime live musical performances in here.
Gave me $6 to get a cup of coffee. God is good. He wanted to know if everybody could remember what bus they got on about the bus. Nobody didn't know. I don't know this.
So we're coming upon the intersection of Broadway and Fulton, and kitty corner to where we are now is the Fulton Center building. Fulton Center brings, I think, 10 different subway lines together, all connected, and this building was designed to bring natural light several levels down into the subway. Should we step inside it briefly?
What is it?
The Fulton Center?
Oh, okay, sorry, I can't see because it's...
Yeah. And now we're looking south on Broadway. If we were to continue to the left on Fulton Street and take it all the way to the East River, we would be at the South Street Seaport. And I think we'll see that when we go over the Brooklyn Bridge today. Maybe we'll enter the side of the building where it's not raining on pedestrians. Anyways, better than your average subway entrance. Not a whole lot of natural light coming in now, but nice, and it does have amenities that most subway stations don't, like a wasabi takeout sushi location, and what else?
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack.
And Krispy Kreme.
And Krispy Kreme. So everything you could ever want. And I think I've even seen like a pop-up Chick-fil-A one level below. So, you know, not only is it a subway station, it could be a destination dining location.
No, he wasn't there. He was on the front. I was trying to see him, but he's gone.
All right. Walking north on Broadway. And a view of St. Paul's Chapel. And a protected bike lane down Broadway. That's new. And then on the pavement here, because this is the part of Broadway called Canyon of the Heroes, so there are inlays in the pavement that list past ticker tape parades that took place up here. We're on a street called Park Row. This entire block is under development now, but at ground level it used to be a series of stores that comprised J&R, which was a destination for people across the city and actually from the region to has a wide range of audio, video products, computers. their entire inventory was wiped out after 9/11, and they were closed for more than a year while they decontaminated. And it was considered a milestone of the 9/11 recovery when J&R reopened. In the distance, the tallest building is the Municipal Building, designed by the firm of McKim, Mead & White, who also designed the Columbia University campus, the old NYU campus, which is now Bronx Community College, the Brooklyn Museum, the original Penn Station, the post office across from Penn Station. Just get this briefly. So, Beekman Alley. It's just 1 block long. I'm not even sure that that's the name of it. I have to confirm that. It's some kind of video display at the end. This was the go-to Starbucks for people waiting for meetings to start at City Hall across the street. There's a view of City Hall. Now, we're trying to get to the pedestrian entrance of the Brooklyn Bridge, and it looks like we can't get there from here, but we will. Yeah. Ready? Again, we're going to go on to the pedestrian ramp of the Brooklyn Bridge. To our right, well, right here, Pace University. This is their main campus. I think they have a campus in Westchester as well. I wouldn't exactly call this a secret, but I don't think too many people know about it. You can enter here. It's one of the entrances to the Brooklyn Bridge City Hall subway station. But we're going to use it as a free passage under the highway to get to the pedestrian path of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Your safety is important to us. Please stay away from the edge, especially when trains enter and leave the station. There is a Downtown Express 5 train to Fulton Avenue, College, 4 minutes away.
When countdown clocks were installed in this part of the subway, the first part of the subway to get countdown clocks, they were audio as well as visual. next generation of countdown clocks, which are located in the majority of stations, are video only. Here, this is the original 1904 tile depicting and bas-relief depicting the Brooklyn Bridge station. And we're going to exit here. Yes, we're going to exit here. These food kiosks haven't been operating for several years, but this one was Nistamalito, a branch of Nistamal Taqueria in Flushing, or Corona, Queens. Just have to point out one unique feature here. We are under the Municipal Building, and you can see the vaulted ceiling. I think it's Gustavino tile. And the entrance. So the Municipal Building was built around the same time as the original subway line. And the sign, I guess they spelled the word subway differently at the end of the 19th century. Midway. Shall we cross the bridge? This is the corner of Chambers and Center Street, and the Municipal Building's address is 1 Center Street. The Municipal Building was renamed 5 years ago, maybe during the de Blasio administration. It was renamed the David Dinkins Municipal Building. So we're crossing to the pedestrian ramp, and I have to point out here's where the new bicycle path is for the Brooklyn Bridge. Up until this last year, bicycles and pedestrians had to share the same path on the Brooklyn Bridge. And it really made it a very unpleasant experience. Unlike the Manhattan Bridge, where bicycles normally go on one side of the bridge and pedestrians on the other. And the problem was the path is too narrow for the volume of combined bicycles and pedestrians going over it. Bicycles had to stop frequently. Pedestrians had to fear for their lives. And now, not only is there plenty of room for pedestrians, but for vendors as well. $5 crystals of what? When was the last time you went over the Brooklyn Bridge?
I think the last time I came over there were still bikes here.
Oh yeah, because this only changed in the last year. I've only been on this once since it became pedestrian only. We'll get a look at the Frank Gehry Tower. The tower that looks like it's dripping on 3 of its 4 sides. And I think we can see in the distance Brooklyn's tallest building under construction. To our left is Murray Bergtrum High School. Don't know when it was built. My guess is the 70s or 80s. Murray Bergtrum, I think, was a senior person with the Board of Education way back when. And then this is it's currently called the Verizon Building. Before that, it was the 9X Building, the Bell Atlantic Building, and the New York Telephone Building. It was built, as were some other buildings in Lower Manhattan, almost completely windowless, because the buildings house switching equipment for what was then the telephone company. And with changes in technology over the decades, I don't know what kind of equipment is in there now, but we'll see in a few minutes on the side of the building facing Brooklyn, the east side. They've constructed windows in the last few years on the upper floors. Hopefully you can see the water tower on top of this building, the wooden water tower. The New York Building Code requires any building taller than 6 stories to have a water tank on top. Some of the water tanks, like at the top of these public housing buildings, are enclosed in brick structures. Here's another view of the Verizon Building where you can see the windows on the upper floors. And I'm no architect, but I don't like that highest building on the horizon. It just seems like a big rectangular box dropped there. But that building was only completed in the last year. It's built on the site of a former Pathmark supermarket, which really wasn't the best use of that limited space in Lower Manhattan. So now for most of the rest of the bridge, we're walking on a wooden boardwalk. Until the mid to late 80s, crossing the Brooklyn Bridge required you to go up or down, I think, 4 flights of stairs, maybe more, and then they re-engineered the path in the mid to late 80s to make it wheelchair accessible. So now it's just one continuous ramp across the bridge. And I think this path has always been a boardwalk since the Brooklyn Bridge was completed in 1883. Actually more people than I expected at this time of day on a weekday. Just a view of the FDR Drive or the South Street Viaduct below. I like that the design of the cables on the Brooklyn Bridge. I've never really seen this kind of spiderweb effect in any of the other suspension bridges around here. The stone cladding on the anchorage, the George Washington Bridge was originally supposed to be clad in something similar when it was built in 1930 or thereabouts. But they had to save money during construction, and that resulted in the George Washington Bridge that you see today, which is a steel skeleton without the cladding. Just a view of Governor's Island in the distance. One of the top tourist attractions. Governor's Island looks so insignificant from here. Hard to tell, but if you might be able to see in the very great distance towards the left the towers of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, the longest suspension bridge around here. Completed in the early 60s by Robert Moses, of course. These were installed relatively recently. Every couple years or so, there would be reports of people playing on the cables and trying to climb up to the top of the anchorage. This fencing is pretty new. And this white line down the center used to be all that separated bikes from pedestrians. And then to the left is the Manhattan Bridge. And there is a train crossing from Brooklyn into Manhattan on it now. Distance, Statue of Liberty, Governor's Island. Okay, we've passed the center point of the bridge span, and now the rest of this walk will be downhill. I'm glad about that.
It's a long ascent. How long have these circular things been here?
Just very recently, to prevent exuberant youth from climbing onto the cables. Just pointing out Governor's Island straight ahead. There's a hexagonal structure directly ahead of us. That's a ventilation shaft for the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, officially the Hugh Carey Tunnel. It'll always be the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel to me, or just the Battery. The tunnel passes directly underneath Governor's Island. The entrance to the tunnel used to include a sign saying, oh, maybe it was when you were exiting the tunnel, saying, "Thank you for using America's longest tunnel." That's what the sign said in the bold print. There wasn't any fine print, but if there were, it would have had an asterisk. They're, America's longest tunnel. It's America's longest vehicular tunnel underwater. There are longer tunnels that go through the Rocky Mountains. And there are longer tunnels that are used by railroads, not motor vehicles. So these buildings here used to be part of Jehovah's Witnesses holdings. The Watchtower. A neon or electric sign that used to contain the Watchtower logo now uses some of those former letters to spell welcome.
So Vicky has her got the same day.
You might want
What?
to come here to do model shoots. It's a model. He's photographing a model.
Yes, many shoots take place on the bridge. So we think this is some kind of fashion shoot.
Who else would dress like that?
We hope it is. And, not just a crazy person. Oh, and here's Jane's Carousel from the top. As we descend closer to street level, we're walking over the neighborhood Dumbo down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. And again, there's the Manhattan Bridge. I'll get a photo of people taking a selfie. Is that rude? In the 50 years that I've been walking the Brooklyn Bridge, there have always been benches here. It just reminds me that there aren't benches on any of the other city bridges. Not Manhattan, or Williamsburg, Queensboro. I could imagine sitting down on the pedestrian side of the Manhattan Bridge. sitting, listening to the deafening N and Q trains go by. And I think this is the first time I'm seeing bridge vendors on the Brooklyn side of the bridge. You're seeing it here first. Here are several DOT personnel having a very serious conference about hopefully what to do next in terms of bridge repairs. Don't know if they're doing a survey or what kind of survey, like an engineering survey or a survey of traffic going over the bridge. And just way, way, way in the distance and maybe not visible is the Bayonne Bridge, connecting Bayonne, New Jersey to Staten Island. We'll walk over that bridge sometime. Oh, and here we have the best view possible of what is causing massive traffic jams on the BQE. We have the southbound lanes being narrowed from 3 lanes to 2. And then about a mile south of here, the northbound lanes have to do the same thing. They have to narrow from 3 to 2 lanes to limit the amount of weight going over the BQE triple cantilever at any one time. So coming up here is a decision point. As you approach Brooklyn, you can either exit the bridge here on the left by going down a stairway on the other side of this fence, and that will bring you down to street level and allow you to walk the streets of Brooklyn Heights sooner. We are going to follow this ramp all the way to the end at Tillery Street. So it's good. There are signs here now, which I don't think were here before. If we had taken the stairway down, we would have ended up there on Washington Street, adjacent to Cadman Plaza Park. But instead, we're going to follow what was originally the combined pedestrian bike path. And you can see here, it's narrow. It's very narrow. And it was actually, I thought it was dangerous coming on here at some times because, especially in going around the curve, can't see, and there are some very aggressive cyclists. These are former Jehovah's Witnesses buildings. this low-rise building across the roadway is some kind of storage and maintenance facility for New York City Transit. This building is the headquarters of the New York City Office of Emergency Management, the agency that coordinates all other city agencies during emergencies. Could be weather emergencies like a blizzard, could be other kinds of natural or man-made emergencies, whatever. And looking ahead, you can see now how the bicycle path veers to the left to become separated from the pedestrian path. This is the least stressful walk across the Brooklyn Bridge I've had in years. On the right is the federal courthouse for the Eastern District of New York, which includes Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk counties. This federal courthouse was greatly expanded about 15 years ago. I was hoping to see a bus that's used to transfer detainees from their incarceration facilities to the courthouse where trials are taking place, because the U.S. Marshal buses, which are used to transport incarcerated people, are an unusual design with bars over the windows, of course, and they look different than New York City Correction Department buses. I don't see any of those either. There has been an NYPD car stationed at each entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge pretty much continuously since 9/11. Now we'll take a right and we'll cross Adams Street, also known as Brooklyn Bridge Boulevard. We're turning west onto Tillery Street. And that's the old post office building. It still functions as a post office. I like the way the bike lanes are constructed up ahead. It's the closest we come to having Amsterdam-style bike lanes. To our right is still part of the federal courthouse. And then here's, with the green peaked roof, is One Pierpont Plaza, among other things, Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters in 2016. Let's cross. So the pedestrian signals in New York will flash a steady walk, and then they'll start counting down the number of seconds that the city determines it takes the average person to walk across any street. In this case, it started counting down at 31 seconds because Tillery is wide. It's a 6-lane street. And let's go this way so we can walk straight towards Borough Hall. Post office to our left. Cadman Plaza Park to our right. Back in the days when Brooklyn was a separate city and had its own city hall, which we're approaching in the distance, this area was where all of the elevated railroad lines converged. In part because it was a connection point to the streetcar and elevated lines that went over the Brooklyn Bridge. Homeland Security protecting us, of course. Not protecting pedestrians' ability to cross at the crosswalk. And there we go. The scourge of pedestrians.
Sorry to push you.
Thank you.
You were going to go right for it.
For some reason, I thought Wednesday was Farmers Market Day here, but
No, I think not this
it
month.
appears not.
Not this month.
Oh, it's not all year round?
No. Maybe April. Start again.
Anyway, this is called Columbus Park. We're heading towards what's now Brooklyn Borough Hall, but up until 1898, when Brooklyn was a separate city, this was Brooklyn City Hall. This is a state Supreme Court building. And the building just in back of Borough Hall, rising like 5-6 stories above Borough Hall and back, is called the Brooklyn Municipal Building. I don't know when it was built. I need to look that up. So I don't know if it was built when Brooklyn was still a separate city. I think not. So we're now at the northern end of Court Street. Even though we've been walking in a straight line, we've been walking along the street called Cadman Plaza West, and here it becomes Court Street. And because of all the courts around here, there were a lot of law offices in these buildings across Court Street. And it's an expression in Brooklyn, or it was a generation ago, to refer to a lawyer as a Court Street lawyer. I think when we first moved to Brooklyn 40 years ago, that was an expression, and it was not a very positive one, as I recall. So here we are. Sorry, let's just get a good look at Brooklyn Borough Hall, formerly Brooklyn City Hall. So you can reach this area. Well, let's look. You can get here at the Borough Hall station on the 2345, or the Court Street stop on the R. A seltzer truck. So I think we're going to end here. This is infrared, and this is what you've been watching.